Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something I think a lot of people struggle with, learning English.
Mm-hmm.
But not the usual way. No textbooks, no grammar rules drilled into you.
Right. We're exploring a path that's more about, well, living the language.
Exactly. We've got these stories from Emily Carter and her friend Sam, and what we want to do here is really dig into how they did it, how they got fluent just by, making English part of their everyday life.
Yeah, and pull out the practical stuff, things you listening can actually try.
So Emily's story starts. She's a university student, Austin, Texas, spoke mostly Spanish at home.
And she understood English okay, but speaking it, that was the tough part.
Which is super common, right?
Oh, absolutely. Passive understanding versus active production. It's
Yeah.
a big hurdle. But she was determined to find a way around the books.
Okay, so let's get into it. What did she actually do? First big thing seems to be changing her whole environment.
Totally. It's about immersion, but like practical immersion.
Like switching her phone settings?
Yeah.
Simple, but you see English constantly then.
Mm-hmm. And watching YouTube, Netflix, but crucially in English. English subtitles at first or none at all, but definitely not Spanish ones.
Right, avoiding that translation crutch. And podcasts, too.
Yeah, she mentioned listening to things like The English We Speak or Learn English with Bob the Canadian.
Oh, yeah, Bob's great.
Really good stuff. And she'd listen while doing other things, commuting, chores, whatever.
So it's just this constant sound bath of English.
Pretty much. At first she said it felt weird, unfamiliar sounds.
I bet.
But over time, your brain just adjusts. It starts to sound normal, familiar.
Okay, so environment first. What else? The speaking part must be key.
Oh, absolutely. Strategy number 2 was basically speak without fear.
Easier said than done, though, right? That fear of messing up is huge.
It really is. But Emily made this rule for herself. Speak English every day, no matter what.
Even if she wasn't talking to anyone.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. She started by talking to herself.
Like out loud.
Yep. Narrating her day. Okay, now I'm going to make some coffee. What should I wear today? Stuff like that. Describing cooking.
Huh. Kind of makes sense. Low stakes.
Exactly. Then she ramped it up. Practice with a friend, Sarah, only in English.
Okay, finding a language buddy.
And then she joined online language exchange groups. Tandem was one she mentioned.
Ah, connecting with native speakers like that guy Alex from New York.
That's the one. So you see the progression. Solo practice, then a friend, then strangers online. Building confidence step by step.
Right, pushing the comfort zone gradually. Okay, so environment speaking, what's next?
Using real life.
Yeah.
Like really using it.
Not just textbook scenarios.
No way. She'd order food in English. Deliberately, even if she knew the waiter spoke Spanish.
Bold.
Yeah. And starting small chats. Coffee shops, stores, the gym. Just quick interactions with strangers.
That takes guts.
It does. But the biggest thing here was probably her part-time job in a cafe.
Ah, total immersion then. You have to speak English.
You have no choice. It makes the language a tool you need right now, not just something you're studying for later.
Makes sense. Okay, strategy 4.
This one's more internal. Thinking in English.
Ooh, okay. How does that work?
Well, instead of thinking in Spanish and then translating in her head before speaking,
Which slows you down.
massively, she started forcing herself to think directly in English. Like looking around and describing things silently. The sky is blue today. That woman is wearing a red coat. That car is driving fast.
Just narrating the world in English, but in her head.
Exactly. And she'd even rehearse conversations mentally before they happened. Like if she knew she had to make an important phone call.
Okay, pre-planning the language.
It helps reduce that hesitation when the real moment comes. You feel more prepared. It builds fluency from the inside out almost.
Interesting. And the last one, number 5.
Make it fun. This is crucial. It can't feel like a total chore.
Right, or you'll just burn out.
Exactly. So she listened to English music, learned the lyrics, sang along. Adele was a favorite, apparently. Someone like you.
Ha! Belting out Adele is good practice.
Totally. And watching stand-up comedy. Kevin Hart, Trevor Noah, laughing while you learn.
Good listening practice, too, because comedians talk fast.
For sure. And playing word games. Duolingo, Word Connect, things like that.
So finding ways to engage with English that she actually enjoyed.
That's the key. Intrinsic motivation. If you like it, you keep doing it.
Okay, so those 5 things. Change environment, speak daily, use real life, think in English, make it fun, and the outcome.
After about a year of sticking with this, conversational fluency, real confidence.
Wow.
And she gave a presentation at university in English.
That's huge. From struggling to speak to giving a presentation in a year? without textbooks.
Pretty incredible. But we should be clear, it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Right. She admitted it was tough sometimes.
Definitely. There were moments she wanted to quit. It's important people know that this approach isn't, like, magically easy.
So what were the main struggles? Fear of being judged sounds like a big one.
Oh, yeah. She told a story about saying exited instead of excited.
Oof. Yeah, that kind of mistake can feel mortifying.
Totally. But her reaction is what's key. She consciously decided, okay, I'm going to laugh about this, learn from it, not let it shut me down.
That's a big mindset shift, seeing mistakes as proof you're trying.
Exactly. Proof of learning, feedback, not failure. That reframing is so powerful.
What else? Lack of confidence.
That shaky voice, the self-doubt. We've all been there.
So how did she tackle that?
Well, she did things that sound maybe a bit awkward, but worked. Practicing in front of a mirror.
Oh, yeah. Seeing yourself speak.
Yeah. And recording herself talking, then listening back.
Cringeworthy maybe, but useful.
Super useful, she said. You catch your own mistakes, hear how you sound. It builds awareness. Confidence comes from doing it, from practice.
Right, not from waiting until you feel confident before you start. Okay, what else? Not knowing words.
Yeah, that panic moment when you need a word and it's just gone.
Blank.
Yeah. Her strategy wasn't to just stop talking. It was to try and explain it differently. Circumlocution. Right.
Talking around the word.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like the time she needed the word cabbage at the store and didn't know it, she just described it. You know, that round, green, leafy vegetable.
And the person understood.
Yeah. It's about communication, not perfection. Getting your meaning across is the goal.
That's a great point. And the last struggle. Fast English.
Understanding native speakers when they talk at normal speed. It can feel like a whirlwind.
Everything just rushes past.
Right. So her trick was to start slow. Listen to things specifically designed for learners, like BBC Learning English.
Okay, train your ear gradually.
Then watch movies with English subtitles first. Get the gist, then watch again without.
Repetition helps.
And listening to the same podcasts multiple times. Your brain starts to pick up more each time. It gradually gets better at processing faster speech.
So it's about gradual exposure and training. Okay, let's pivot to practical advice then. If someone listening wants to try this book-free thing now, what are Emily's takeaways?
Okay, step 1. Create that English bubble. Change your phone, social media to English. Watch stuff in English, maybe subtitles first, but aim to ditch them. Listen to English music, podcasts every day.
Make it unavoidable. Got it.
Step 2. Speak every single day.
Even if it's just talking to yourself.
Absolutely. Describe your routine out loud. Find a practice buddy, a friend, someone on Tandem or Hello Talk. Just open your mouth and use the language.
Consistency over quantity, maybe.
Definitely. Short bursts, daily, beat one long session weekly.
Okay. Step 3.
Think in English. Start small. Simple thoughts. I need water. Then try forming full sentences in your head. Break that translation habit.
Build those direct connections in your brain.
Exactly. Step 4. Don't fear mistakes. Seriously.
Easier said than done, but crucial.
Be grateful if someone corrects you. See it as help. Just keep talking. Imperfection is fine. It means you're doing it.
Embrace the messiness.
Totally. And finally, step 5. Make it fun. Find your fun. Games, online communities, interesting YouTubers, music you love.
If it feels like a chore, you won't stick with it.
Precisely. Find the joy in it.
Okay, that's a great framework. Now, for the deep dive part, you mentioned Emily really worked on thinking in English. Can we unpack that a bit more?
Yeah, so she realized she was constantly doing that mental translation from Spanish. It was like a barrier.
So how did she break it?
Consciously. Starting super simple. First thought in the morning. I have to wake up directly in English, not the Spanish version first.
Even if it felt unnatural at first.
Oh, yeah. She said it felt weird, forced, but she kept at it. Narrating actions in her head in English. I am walking to the kitchen. I am opening the fridge.
Instead of translating, just directly labeling things and actions in English.
Exactly. Describe, don't translate. It's about building that direct pathway.
And what about getting conversation practice if you don't have someone right there?
Great question. She really emphasized the power of talking, even solo.
We mentioned talking to yourself.
Yeah, but like really doing it.
Yeah.
Explaining your day out loud. Having imaginary arguments or discussions in English in your head, or even out loud.
Okay, like rehearsing.
Using voice messages. Send them to friends, even if they aren't fluent. Just the act of producing the language helps.
Interesting. Any tech involved?
For sure. Talking to AI, ChatGPT, Elsa Speak for pronunciation, even just Google Assistant. Ask it questions, give it commands in English.
Low pressure interaction.
Right. And joining online groups,
Mm.
Facebook, WhatsApp, those Tandem Hello Talk apps again. Find communities where English is the norm.
So lots of ways to practice output, even without a dedicated partner 24/7.
Absolutely. And surrounding yourself with it constantly. We touched on music and TV.
Right. Singing along, learning lyrics, using apps like lyrics training, maybe?
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Oh.
And with TV shows or YouTube, really commit to switching the audio to English. Maybe start with shows you already know well.
So the plot isn't confusing.
Exactly. Then try without subtitles at all. And reading short stories, following English-speaking influencers, reading memes, writing your own captions in English. Just weave it in everywhere.
Make it the default input.
Precisely.
What about that fear of speaking, like in public with actual strangers?
Yeah, that's a big leap. Emily had this moment helping a last tourist in a coffee shop. It was scary, but she did it. And it was a huge confidence boost.
A breakthrough moment.
Kind of. Her advice is to start really small, ordering coffee, asking for directions, even if you know the way, chatting briefly with a cashier.
Low stakes interactions.
Yeah. Focus on just getting the message across. Speak slowly, clearly. It's okay if it's not perfect. Small wins build momentum.
That makes sense. And the big question everyone asks, how long does this take? When do you actually get fluent?
Ah, the million-dollar question. Emily's honest answer. It really depends.
On the person, the effort.
Exactly. How much you immerse yourself, how consistently you practice speaking and thinking in English, how willing you are to make mistakes.
But is there a ballpark?
She suggested, and this seems reasonable based on immersion principles, that if you're really consistent with listening, speaking, thinking in English, and you push past that fear, you could see huge progress in 6 months to a year, like conversational level.
Okay, so not overnight, but potentially faster than years of traditional classes for some people.
Potentially, yes, especially for developing practical speaking and listening skills.
Now let's bring in Emily's friend, Sam. His story adds another layer here.
Right. Sam had a similar background. Spanish speaker, understood English okay, but speaking, not so much. Felt stuck.
And he was skeptical about Emily's no books idea at first.
Very skeptical, which, is understandable. It goes against how we're often taught languages are learned.
So Emily convinced him.
She basically gave him 3 super simple, actionable steps to just try.
Okay, what were they?
1, speak out loud in English,
Yeah.
even when you're alone. Describe what you're doing, same as her initial step.
Right, activate the speaking muscles.
2, listen and copy. Like a kid learning their first language. Hear phrases from videos, podcasts, whatever, and just repeat them. Try to mimic the sound.
Shadowing, essentially.
A basic form of it, yeah. And 3, think directly in English. Stop translating in your head. Consciously form the thoughts there.
The same core ideas Emily used.
Pretty much distilled down to the absolute basics to get him started.
And did it work for Sam?
Amazingly quickly, actually. He said after just 1 month of trying this, he had this moment where a customer asked him something in English, and he just answered. Naturally, without freezing or translating.
Wow, 1 month. That's fast.
It surprised him, too. He kept going, using music, Netflix, finding people to chat with online.
So he built on those initial steps.
Yeah. And he reached a conversational level in about 6 months. Again, no textbooks involved.
Sam's progress really hammers home the point about active immersive practice.
It really does. Consistency with these core actions seems to be incredibly powerful.
But then Sam hit a wall, right? Like Emily, he got fluent, but maybe not natural.
Exactly. He could communicate, hold conversations, but he felt it wasn't quite right. He'd struggle to find the right word quickly, sometimes mess up tenses, couldn't always follow native speakers talking fast.
The intermediate plateau, it's a real thing.
Very real. He felt his English was functional, but sounded kind of clunky, not smooth.
So what was Emily's advice for that stage, moving from functional to natural?
Okay, 3 new strategies for Sam at this point. First, really focus on imitating real conversations. Proper shadowing.
So more intense listening and repeating.
Yeah. Watching English YouTubers or listening to podcasts and repeating right after them, trying to match everything, the accent, the rhythm, the intonation, the speed.
That sounds challenging, but effective for pronunciation and flow.
Incredibly effective. Second, start consciously using common everyday phrases. Ditch the textbook English.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, instead of maybe a formal, how do you do? Just, hey, how's it going? Or, I'm good, how about you? Instead of, I do not know, just, I don't know, or beats me. Using things like, yeah, totally, gotcha, no worries.
The little phrases that make conversations flow naturally.
Exactly. Learning those conversational fillers and responses makes a huge difference in sounding less formal, more authentic.
Okay. And the third strategy for Sam.
Actively work on handling fast English. Don't just avoid it.
How? Just listen more.
Listen to fast stuff, yes, but focus differently. Don't try to catch every single word. Focus on the key words, the stressed words. Try to guess the meaning from the context.
Train your brain to get the gist, even if some words fly by.
Precisely. It's a skill you develop understanding based on context and key information, just like we often do in our native language in noisy environments.
Right. Okay, shadowing, everyday phrases, handling speed. Did it work for Sam?
Big time. He had his own breakthrough moment in a coffee shop, suddenly realized he could follow a really fast conversation between the baristas.
That must have felt amazing.
Huge confidence boost.
Yeah.
And within about a year of working on these specific things, his English really leveled up. He made English-speaking friends, got a better job because his communication was smoother, felt totally fine traveling.
So sustained effort on the right things pays off even after you hit that plateau.
Absolutely. It's about identifying the specific areas holding you back and targeting them.
But Sam didn't even stop there, did he? He wanted to go further.
Yeah, he got bitten by the bug. He wanted to sound even more natural, express himself more fully.
Okay, what were the next challenges then?
Well, one was using idioms and phrasal verbs naturally,
Hmm.
not just knowing what they mean, but actually using them at the right time in conversation.
Ah, yeah, those are tricky. Like running on empty or I'm beat instead of just I'm tired.
Exactly. Or understanding things like, I'm not following you, or that went over my head. Integrating those naturally takes time and exposure.
Okay, idioms and phrasal verbs. What else?
Telling stories. Moving beyond just stating facts or simple answers, and actually weaving a little narrative.
No, for simple things.
Yeah. Thinking in terms of like a beginning, middle, and end. He gave an example about telling someone about a trip to the beach that got rained out. Structuring it like a mini story makes it more engaging.
That makes sense. It's more dynamic communication.
For sure. And the third thing was more internal, almost. Developing a personal English identity.
What does that mean exactly?
Feeling like yourself, but in English. Maybe even feeling like a slightly different version, perhaps more outgoing or confident, as sometimes happens when people learn a new language.
So it's less about the mechanics and more about feeling comfortable in the language.
Exactly. Sam described it as really starting to feel the language, not just speak it like a machine, a deeper connection.
That sounds like true fluency, almost beyond just technical skill.
I think so. It's when the language becomes part of you.
So fast forward, Sam meets Emily again after a year of all this.
Yeah, they met up in person.
Yeah?
And apparently Sam's English was just flowing, confident, natural, enjoying using it.
He must have been proud.
He was. He even said he was kind of surprised himself how far he'd come without ever cracking a textbook for grammar rules.
It's a powerful testament to their approach. And Sam had some final advice.
Yeah, really simple but profound, I think.
Yeah.
He said, don't wait until you feel ready. Start speaking today.
Just start.
Because he said one day you'll wake up and realize you're fluent. It captured that idea that fluency sneaks up on you through consistent action, not through waiting for perfection.
Action precedes confidence. Love that.
Exactly.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, it seems pretty clear, based on Emily and Sam's experiences, that, yeah, learning English fluently without the traditional book route is totally possible.
More than possible, it can be really effective, maybe even more enjoyable for certain types of learners.
It really comes down to that immersion, the active practice, and crucially, that mindset shift, right? Being okay with mistakes, making it part of your actual life.
Absolutely. Their stories are packed with practical things people can try, like right now.
For sure. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. We've heard about changing phone settings, talking to yourself, shadowing YouTubers, using apps, focusing on storytelling, a whole range of these non-traditional methods. Which one of those kind of clicks with you? Which one sounds maybe doable or even fun for your learning style, your interests? And thinking about that, what's just one small thing, one tiny step you could actually do today to start your own book-free English journey?
It doesn't have to be massive, just one thing to get the ball rolling.
Exactly. Reflect on what motivates you, what you enjoy, and how you learn best outside of a classroom.
And just start. Be patient with yourself, enjoy the ride, and trust the process. Every little bit of immersion counts.
Couldn't agree more. Here's to finding your own path to English fluency. Thanks for diving in with us today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something I think, well, a lot of people struggle with, learning English,
Hmm.
but maybe not in the way you think. We're ditching the textbooks, the grammar rules.
Right. We're exploring a different path, really. More about living the language.
Exactly. And we're basing this on the experiences of Emily Carter and her friend Sam. Their stories, they really show how you can get fluent just by jumping in, using English every day.
Yeah, and our mission here isn't just to tell their stories, but to kind of unpack why it worked.
Yeah.
What were the effective strategies? And crucially, what practical steps can listeners take away, like right now?
Okay, let's get into it. Emily's story is fascinating. Grew up in Austin, Texas, but mostly Spanish at home.
So she understood English, okay.
Yeah, understood it fine, but speaking, that was the real challenge. And then college hit.
The motivator.
Right. Suddenly, English was everywhere, unavoidable, and she knew the old ways weren't working for her.
Which is interesting in itself, isn't it? That self-awareness. She realized, okay, textbooks aren't my thing. I need something else. So she basically designed her own immersion program.
Tailored it to herself. I like that. So how did she actually do it? Because it wasn't passive. She had these like 5 core strategies. First one, just changing her whole environment, making it English.
Yeah, this is key. Think about phone settings flipped to English. Watching YouTube, Netflix, all in English.
And without Spanish subtitles, right. That's tough.
Well, maybe English subtitles at first, or none at all. The point was avoiding that translation crutch. Plus, listening to English podcasts, she mentioned the English we speak. Learn English with Bob the Canadian.
While doing other stuff like commuting, chores.
Exactly, just filling her ears with English sounds. She said it felt strange initially,
I can imagine.
but then it just became familiar. Your brain starts absorbing the patterns, the rhythm, even subconsciously. It's like building the foundation without realizing you're laying bricks.
Okay, so saturate the environment. Strategy 2, getting over the fear and just speaking.
Oh yeah, the big one. That fear of mistakes is paralyzing for so many.
Totally.
But Emily made a rule.
Yeah.
Speak English every single day. No excuses.
Even if it was just to herself.
Absolutely. Started there. Narrating her day. Okay, I'm chopping onions now. Simple stuff. Then she teamed up with her friend Sarah. English only between them.
Smart. Having a practice buddy.
And she went online too. Language exchange apps like Tandem. She mentioned chatting with some guy, Alex from New York. Just put yourself out there.
And that built confidence over time.
That too, right? You can't learn to swim without getting in the water. Talking, even badly at first, is the only way to get better at talking.
Makes sense. So environment, speaking daily. What was number 3?
Using real life as the classroom. Forget textbook scenarios.
Like ordering coffee.
Exactly. Ordering food in English, even if the waiter obviously spoke Spanish. Making that effort. Starting small talk with strangers, coffee shop, checkout line, gym, wherever.
That takes guts.
It does. And the big one. She got a part-time job in a cafe.
Wow, okay. Trial by fire.
Pretty much. Constant real-world English practice, day in, day out. That forces you to learn fast. It makes the language a tool, not just a subject.
Okay, strategy 4 sounds a bit more internal. Thinking in English.
Yeah, this seems like a real turning point for her. Moving beyond translating everything in her head from Spanish.
How does she even start doing that?
Consciously, deliberately, looking around, describing things silently in English. The sky is blue, that person is wearing a red jacket, the car is turning left.
Simple observations.
Simple stuff. And she'd even rehearse conversations in her head before they happen, just mapping it out in English.
And that helped fluency?
Massively. It cuts out the middleman in the translation step, makes speaking more direct, more fluid. Your brain starts operating in English.
Okay, the final one, number 5, making it fun.
Crucial. This wasn't homework for her. She found ways to enjoy it.
Like music.
Yeah, listening to English songs, actually learning the lyrics, singing along. She mentioned Adele, someone like you.
Ah, okay, good advice.
And watching stand-up comedy. Kevin Hart, Trevor Noah.
You're laughing, but you're also tuning your ear to natural speech patterns, slang.
And word games, too.
Yep, apps like Duolingo, Word Connect. Anything that made engaging with English feel less like work and more like play.
So environment, speaking, real-life practice, thinking in English, and fun. And the result after a year of this. Pretty remarkable, really. Conversational fluency. Confidence way up. She even gave a university presentation in English.
That's a huge leap. What do you think was the absolute key element in that rapid progress? Consistency.
I think it was the combination. It wasn't just one thing. It was listening immersion, plus active speaking practice, plus the mental shift, plus keeping it enjoyable. They all kind of fed into each other, created this positive feedback loop.
Right. But let's be real, it couldn't have been all smooth sailing. She admitted it wasn't always easy, this book-free way.
Oh, definitely not. There are struggles. Moments she wanted to quit, for sure.
And it's important we talk about those too, like that fear of being judged.
Yeah, that's a big one. She told that story about mixing up exited and excited.
Oh yeah, I remember reading that. Cringe-worthy moment.
Totally relatable, that
Yeah.
embarrassment. But her reaction was key. She decided, okay, I can either be mortified or I can laugh about it and remember the difference next time.
So reframing the mistake.
Exactly. Seeing mistakes not as failures, but as proof you're actually trying, learning. That mindset shift is huge.
Then there was the confidence issue. Even if you know the words, sometimes you just freeze up.
Mm-hmm. That shaky voice, the self-doubt. We've all been there.
So how did she tackle that specifically?
She mentioned practicing in front of a mirror. Sounds a bit awkward, maybe.
Yeah, a little.
But it helps. And recording yourself speaking, then listening back, cringing again, probably, but identifying where she could improve. It builds familiarity with your own English voice.
So kind of desensitizing yourself in private before going public?
Sort of, yeah. Realizing confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build through doing the scary thing.
Okay, another common one. Hitting a wall with vocabulary. Just not having the right word.
Right. The temptation is to just stop talking, get frustrated.
But she didn't do that.
No, her strategy was resourceful. If she didn't know the word, she'd explain it, describe it using words she did know, like that cabbage example at the store.
Yeah, describing it as a round, leafy green vegetable instead of just freezing because she forgot cabbage.
Exactly. Communication over perfection. Fluency isn't about knowing every single word. It's about getting your message across effectively.
Yeah.
Circumlocution, they call it. Talking around the word. It's a vital skill.
Okay, and the last big struggle, understanding fast English. Native speakers can talk really quickly.
Oh, yeah. It can feel like a blur, like you're just lost.
So what was her trick there?
Start slow. She deliberately sought out slower English. First, BBC Learning English was one she mentioned. Train your ear gently.
And with movies and stuff.
Watch with English subtitles first, get the gist. Then try again without them. Listen to the same podcast repeatedly. Your brain starts to catch up.
It's like weight training for your ears, kind of. Start light, gradually increase.
That's a great analogy, actually, yes. Gradual adaptation.
Okay, so knowing the struggles and solutions, let's pivot to practical advice. If someone listening wants to try this book-free approach now, what are Emily's core steps?
Right. She boiled it down to 5 main things. First, create that English bubble. Phone language, social media feeds, videos, music, podcasts. Make English your default. Start with subtitles if you need them, then ditch them. Daily exposure.
Immerse yourself. Got it. Step 2.
Speak
Yeah.
every single day. Talk to yourself. Narrate your routine. Find a friend for practice. Use those apps, Candom, Hello Talk. Connect with people.
Consistency in speaking. Makes sense. Third.
Think in English. Start simple. Internal monologue in English. Form sentences in your head before you say them.
That mental shift again. Crucial.
Yep. Fourth, don't fear mistakes. Like, really embrace them. Someone corrects you. Great. Thank them. Keep talking.
Easier said than done, but vital. And fifth.
Make it fun. Find English stuff you genuinely enjoy. Games, online groups, hobbies you can do in English. If you enjoy it, you'll stick with it.
Environment. Speak daily. Think in English. Embrace mistakes. Make it fun. Sounds like a solid plan.
It covers all the bases, really.
Yeah.
Input, output, mindset, motivation.
Now, you mentioned Emily shared even more specific techniques, kind of a deeper dive into immersion.
Yeah, she elaborated on a few things, like that thinking in English part. She was constantly translating, right, from Spanish first.
A bottleneck.
Exactly. So she consciously started small, just thinking good morning in English when she woke up.
Yeah.
Narrating simple actions internally, making coffee, walking to the bus.
Building that direct pathway, concept trait to English.
Precisely. Bypassing the translation step speeds everything up.
And the daily conversation thing, she had tips even if you don't have a partner readily available.
Yeah, that was interesting. Talking to yourself out loud, not just in your head. Explaining your day, planning things, even having imaginary debates or conversations in English.
Okay, it might feel a bit weird, but I see the practice value.
Totally. And using voice messages. Even if your friend isn't fluent, just practice articulating your thoughts in English. Plus, using AI, ChatGPT, Elsa Speak, Google Assistant, you can talk to them.
Huh. Practice with the robots. Why not?
They don't judge. And joining online groups, Facebook, WhatsApp, those language exchange apps again,
Yeah.
lots of ways to find speaking opportunities.
And the constant exposure idea, just surrounding yourself.
Yeah, really doubling down. Music wasn't just background noise. It was active listening, learning lyrics, singing along. There are apps like Lyrics Training for that too.
Gamifying it.
Exactly. TV shows, YouTube making a conscious effort to watch in English, weaning yourself off subtitles, reading short stories, even just scrolling social media in English, following English-speaking influencers, reading memes, trying to write captions in English.
So integrating it into every little part of your day.
That's the goal. Make it ubiquitous.
And she talked about overcoming that specific fear of speaking in public.
That coffee shop incident where she helped a tourist was a breakthrough for her.
A positive reinforcement moment.
Big time. Her advice was start small, really small.
Ah.
Ordering food clearly, asking for directions simply, making brief chit-chat with the cashier. Focus on just communicating, not being perfect. Speak slowly if you need to.
Manageable steps build confidence for bigger interactions later.
That's the idea. Each small success makes the next step less daunting.
Okay, the big question everyone asks, how long does this actually take to get fluent this way?
Yeah, Emily was honest. No magic number. It depends hugely on how much effort you put in, how deep the immersion is.
But she gave a ballpark.
She suggested that if you're really consistent listening, speaking, thinking in English daily, and crucially, not letting fear stop you, you could see massive progress in, say, 6 months to a year.
Which sounds fast, but also requires serious dedication.
Absolutely. It's not passive. It requires active engagement, but it aligns with what we see in intensive immersion scenarios. Consistent, multi-pronged effort yields results.
Okay, let's bring in the second story. Emily's friend Sam, similar situation.
Very similar. Spanish speaker, understood English okay, but speaking was a struggle. Felt frustrated.
And he heard about Emily's method and was skeptical.
Totally skeptical. Like, learn without textbooks, no grammar rules. How does that even work?
Which probably reflects how a lot of people think about language learning, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It highlights that deep-seated belief that learning has to be academic, structured, rule-based. The idea of just absorbing it through use sounds almost too simple.
So what did Emily tell him? She didn't overwhelm him.
No, she kept it super simple. Just 3 things to start.
Okay, what were they?
1, speak out loud even if you're alone. Just describe what you're doing in English. I am washing the dishes.
Like Emily did initially?
Exactly. 2, listen and copy. Like a little kid learning. Hear a phrase in a video or podcast, pause it, say it back. Try to mimic the sound, the rhythm.
Imitation. Okay.
And 3,
Think in English. Make a conscious effort to stop translating in your head. Form the thought directly in English.
speak out loud, listen and copy. Think directly. Simple, but powerful.
Deceptively simple, yeah. They hit the core mechanics. Production, imitation, cognitive immersion, using the language, not just analyzing it.
And how did it go for Sam? Did the skepticism last long?
Apparently not. After just 1 month of trying this, he had this moment at work where a customer asked him something and he just answered in English, naturally, without overthinking it.
Oh, that must have felt amazing.
Huge confidence boost, I bet. And that spurred him on. He kept going more music, Netflix, finding people online to chat with.
And his timeline.
He reached conversational fluency in about 6 months without cracking a textbook.
6 months. That really reinforces Emily's point, doesn't it? Shows it wasn't just a one-off. Exactly. It validates the approach. Different person, same starting point, similar results, using the same core principles. Immersion and active use work.
But there's always a but, isn't there? Sam hit a plateau too, right? Even after becoming conversational.
Yeah, that intermediate plateau. It's really common. He could communicate, get by, but he felt stuck.
In what way?
Things like finding the right word quickly, fumbling with tenses sometimes, and still struggling to follow native speakers when they talked fast. He felt his English wasn't, natural.
Functional, but maybe a bit clunky.
Kinda, yeah. Or maybe too formal sometimes. Relying on phrases that sounded okay but weren't quite what a native speaker would say in that situation.
Yeah.
And that feeling of just not quite keeping up.
That's a frustrating place to be. You've come so far, but you still feel there's a gap.
Definitely. And it's often where learners need a slightly different set of strategies to push through to the next level.
So Emily had more advice for Sam at this stage, for sounding more natural.
She did. 3 new things for him to focus on. First, she suggested shadowing.
Shattering, like following someone.
Sort of. Imitating real conversations. She told him to find English YouTubers he liked, listen to them, and then immediately repeat what they said, trying to match their exact accent, their intonation, their speed, the way they linked words together.
Oh, okay. Like echoing them in real time. How does that help?
It's incredibly powerful for catching the music of the language.
Uh-huh.
Pronunciation, rhythm, stress patterns, things that make speech sound natural but are hard to learn from rules. It helps you internalize that flow.
Moving beyond just words to the melody of the language. Interesting. What was the second strategy?
Use common everyday phrases. Ditch the textbook English.
Can you give an example?
Sure, instead of always saying, I'm fine, thank you, and you,
Mm-hmm.
switch to more natural options like, I'm good, how about you? Or, doing well, thanks, you. Or instead of a complex explanation for not knowing something, just a simple, I don't know, or not sure.
So learning the casual shortcuts and common expressions.
Exactly. Using the language people actually use in relaxed conversation, it makes a huge difference in sounding less formal and more relatable.
Okay. Shadowing for flow. Common phrases for naturalness. And the
Now,
third.
actively tackle understanding fast English. Don't just avoid it.
How? Just listen more.
Listen more, yes, but listen strategically. Focus on just picking out the key words in a fast conversation. Don't try to catch every single word. And practice guessing the meaning from the overall context.
Like developing inference skills for listening.
Precisely. It's about training your brain to process faster speech more efficiently, grabbing the essentials, even if some bits fly by. Repeated exposure helps too.
So imitate flow, use real phrases, learn to handle speed. And this worked for Sam.
It seems so. He had that breakthrough moment again in a coffee shop where he suddenly realized he could follow a really fast conversation between native speakers,
It's been like unlocking a superpower.
I imagine. And the long-term results were significant. Within another year, he'd made actual English-speaking friends, not just language partners. He got a better job where English was needed. Felt confident traveling.
Wow. So those strategies really took him to that next level of integration.
Yeah, it shows that learning doesn't stop at conversational. You can keep
Hmm.
refining, keep getting more comfortable and natural if you use the right techniques,
But Sam still wasn't done. He wanted to go even further.
apparently. He got to a point where he could communicate well, sound pretty natural, but he wanted more nuance, more self-expression.
Okay, now we're getting into advanced territory. What did that involve?
3 more challenges, he set himself. First, getting comfortable using idioms and phrasal verbs naturally.
Ah, the really tricky stuff, like running on empty.
Exactly. Or, I'm beat for tired, or maybe understanding that went over my head if someone doesn't get a joke. Using these appropriately adds real color and authenticity.
Definitely makes you sound less like a textbook. What else?
Telling stories, not just stating facts, but actually weaving a little narrative. Thinking about a beginning, middle, end. He gave an example of telling a mini story about a rainy day at the beach, not just saying, it rained at the beach.
Why is that important? Storytelling.
It's how humans connect. It makes conversations more engaging, more memorable. It shows you can organize thoughts, use descriptive language, and hold someone's attention. It's a much more natural way to share experiences.
Okay, idioms and stories. And the third advanced challenge.
This one's more psychological. Developing a personal English identity.
What does that even mean?
Feeling like yourself,
Mm.
but in English. Maybe even feeling like a slightly different version, perhaps more outgoing or more direct when you speak English. Feeling comfortable enough that the language feels like a part of you, not just a tool you're using.
So it's less about rules and more about feeling.
Yeah,
Feeling the language.
exactly. Sam described it as moving from just speaking English to truly feeling it, a deeper level of comfort and ownership.
That's a profound shift.
It really is. It signifies true integration.
And when Sam finally met Emily in person after this whole journey,
Apparently his English was just flowing. Confident, relaxed. He was clearly enjoying using the language. He even surprised himself with how far he'd come just by following her advice.
what a great outcome. Their stories really complement each other.
They do. They show the path, the struggles, the plateaus, and the breakthroughs.
And Sam's final advice for listeners, it was pretty punchy.
Yeah, super direct. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start speaking today. Because one day you'll wake up and realize you're fluent.
What's the core takeaway there? Just start.
Just start. Action builds confidence, not the other way around. You don't achieve fluency by waiting until you're perfect. You achieve it by practicing consistently, mistakes and all.
So wrapping up this whole deep dive then, the big message seems clear. You really can learn English well, get fluent, without being chained to textbooks.
Absolutely. Emily and Sam are compelling proof. Immersion, actually using the language, changing your mindset. It's a powerful combination.
And their experiences aren't just stories. They're packed with practical things anyone listening can try.
Definitely actionable strategies, things you can literally start doing the minute this finishes.
Okay, so here's a final thought for everyone tuning in. We've talked about a lot of these non-traditional methods, changing your phone, talking to yourself, shadowing YouTubers, playing games, starting tiny conversations. Which one of those, just one, kind of sparks something for you? Which one resonates with how you like to learn or what interests you?
Yeah, what feels like something you could actually do.
And maybe what's one tiny concrete step related to that method that you could commit to taking, like today, not tomorrow, today, just one small thing to kickstart your own book-free English journey.
Think about what feels manageable, maybe
You know
even a
that
little
feeling.
exciting.
Because
Learning
the
English has
potential
to
is
mean
definitely
like
there.
piles
Embrace
of
the
thick
process.
books.
Be
Oh,
patient,
yeah.
but be
Memorizing endless
active.
grammar
Every little
rules,
bit of
these
immersion,
huge
every
vocabulary lists.
conversation,
Right.
every
It feels like
mistake
this
learned from.
massive hurdle.
It all
Like you need
adds
some
up. It
secret
really does lead to
code
fluency
just to
and opens
have
up
a
so
normal
many
conversation.
doors.
Well Exactly. said. It can seem
Here's to your
overwhelming.
own
Deep dive
But what
into
if there's
English.
another way,
Thanks for
a
joining us.
path to actually, getting fluent without all that heavy studying?
Well, that's exactly what happened for the person we're focusing on today, Emily Carter.
Yeah, Emily's story.
What's so interesting right off the bat about Emily is how her experience, it just challenges that really common idea, doesn't it? That formal book-based learning is the only real way to speak English well.
Totally. Her story suggests something much more organic.
Yeah, organic or maybe just natural.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Emily, she's a 22-year-old university student right here in Austin, Texas,
Mhm.
doing marketing.
Mhm.
And just a few years back, the idea of speaking English fluently, it felt like miles away for her. She understood it fine.
Passive understanding.
Right. But actually speaking it with confidence, that was the big obstacle. Now, though, she speaks fluently, confidently.
And the kicker is she did it largely without textbooks.
Exactly. And that's what we're getting into today. We're doing a deep dive into Emily's journey to pull out the practical stuff, the things that you, listening, can maybe try to really boost your English by, well, living it, not just studying it from a page.
Precisely. Emily's experience really shines a light on the power of immersion. Making the language a real active part of your life.
Not just something you do in a classroom for an hour.
Or from a book, yeah. It's about experiencing English in context.
So let's get a quick picture of her background. Grew up here in Austin, but at home, Spanish was the main language.
Okay, so bilingual environment to some extent.
Yeah, her parents, Luis and Maria, they moved from Mexico before she was born. So English was all around her, outside the house, school, friends, TV.
But that leap to actually using it herself actively just wasn't happening smoothly.
No, not really.
And if you think about how we learn languages, just being exposed, even if you understand a lot, it isn't always enough, is it? To build those active speaking skills.
To not.
Feeling comfortable, feeling confident enough to actually speak. That often comes from those early interactions, the environment you're really using the language in most.
And that lack of confidence, it kind of solidified, became a real thing during one specific moment in high school, English class.
The dreaded classroom moment.
Yeah, with a teacher, Mr. Anderson. He asked her a question, she knew the answer in her head, but trying to say it.
Oh, no.
It came out all jumbled, the class laughed,
Yeah.
and Emily just felt totally mortified.
Yeah,
I-
we've all been there, feeling put on the spot like that. And for her, that feeling really stuck.
It did.
That kind of experience just highlights how critical the learning environment is. If you're scared of being judged, scared of making mistakes, it can create a real mental block.
A barrier to even trying.
Exactly. And unfortunately, negative classroom experiences sometimes just make that fear even stronger.
Definitely. So, okay, fast forward to college. Suddenly, English wasn't optional anymore. She couldn't just sidestep it.
Right. It becomes essential.
For everything. Courses, group projects, just, hanging out, making friends, social life.
Absolutely.
That's when she knew, okay, I have to find a way to get more fluent. But the thought of going back to, grammar drills and textbooks,
This wasn't appealing after her past experiences.
not at all. So she decided, I'm going to forge my own path here. A way to get fluent without really opening a textbook. And that's what we're going to unpack. How did she actually do that?
What's really insightful there is her proactive stance. Instead of feeling defeated or just resigning herself to methods she didn't like,
She took control.
yeah, she actively looked for alternatives. That adaptability, that's often a key thing you see in successful learners.
So by now, you're probably wondering, okay, sounds good, but how? How do you really learn English without books?
It sounds a bit radical to some, maybe,
It can, but Emily's journey, and actually her friend Sam's experiences too, they show it's not just possible.
But it can be more natural, more enjoyable even.
Exactly. A much more enjoyable way to actually get fluent.
And thinking bigger picture, language learning-wise, Emily's approach, it lines up really well with focusing on what we call communicative competence.
Okay, that's that exactly.
It basically means prioritizing being able to communicate effectively, getting your message across, even if your grammar isn't perfect, especially at the start.
Communication first, perfection later.
Pretty much. It's about making yourself understood.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's walk through some of the main things Emily did. First, big one. She totally changed her everyday surroundings.
Creating that English bubble.
Yeah, like switched her phone settings to English, stopped using Spanish subtitles for videos.
Ah, the subtitle trap. Easy to fall into.
Right. Instead, she used English subtitles, or sometimes none at all. And she started actively listening to English podcasts, things like The English We Speak or Learn English with Bob the Canadian.
Simple, accessible stuff.
Yeah, total immersion, zero textbooks involved.
And what's really key there is the deliberate effort, making English the default. It's about creating that constant, almost unconscious exposure.
So it just seeps in.
Kind of. It gradually helps your brain recognize patterns, pick up new words naturally, get a feel for the rhythm of English.
Okay, so environment changed. Then, the really crucial part, actually speaking, without being terrified of mistakes.
The big one, the speaking hurdle.
Emily made a conscious choice.
So,
Speak English every single day. Even if it was just like talking to herself in the mirror in the morning.
Narrating her plans for the day.
Yeah, or describing what she was doing while cooking dinner. Stuff like that.
Simple but consistent practice.
And she practiced with her friend Sarah. They agreed only English between them. Plus, she joined online language exchange groups. Found people like Alex from New York for regular chats.
So creating those opportunities,
The more she spoke, the less she worried about, messing up.
that really hits on the importance of active practice and finding what you might call safe spaces to experiment.
Low pressure zones.
Exactly. For so many learners, that fear of mistakes is the biggest barrier. Emily's strategies tackle that head on by making speaking just a regular, normal thing.
And it wasn't just like scheduled practice. She actively looked for chances in real life.
Using it on the go.
Ordering food in English at cafes, striking up little conversations with strangers, coffee shop, gym, whatever. She even got a part-time job in a cafe.
Ah, real world immersion right there.
Those everyday interactions became her real English lessons.
And that's where the learning becomes truly meaningful, isn't it? Where it sticks.
Yeah.
Using the language for actual tasks, practical scenarios.
It reinforces everything.
Yeah, it cements the vocabulary, the grammar, and it builds that confidence for handling unpredictable real-time talk.
Okay, this next strategy was apparently a real game changer for her. She started thinking in English, actively.
Ah, the internal switch. That's a big step.
Instead of thinking in Spanish first and then translating in her head, which takes time.
And mental energy.
Right. She made a conscious effort, think directly in English, describing her surroundings in her head, mentally rehearsing potential conversation.
Little mental exercises.
These kinds of things really help speed up her fluency, she said, and reduce that hesitation, that feeling of searching for words.
That shift from constant translation to direct thinking in the target language, that's a huge milestone.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It shows a deeper level of integration, understanding. It's what lets you speak more spontaneously, more naturally. We sometimes call it cognitive fluency.
Cognitive fluency. Okay. Your brain's just working in English.
Exactly.
And finally, Emily made it fun. She found ways to enjoy the language.
Crucial for staying motivated.
Listening to music artists like Adele, watching stand-up comedy, Kevin Hart, Trevor Noah, people like that.
Getting the humor, the rhythm.
Playing word games on apps, Duolingo, Word Connect. She connected English to things she genuinely enjoyed.
So it felt less like homework.
And more like entertainment, yeah.
That element of enjoyment. It's so often underestimated in language learning. If you're having fun, you're way more likely to stick with it long term.
It becomes something you want to do.
Not something you feel you have to do. Big difference.
Okay, but it wasn't all smooth sailing, obviously. She definitely hit challenges.
Of course, learning any language has its bumps.
And how she handled them offers some really good insights for listeners, like that fear of being judged.
Still major factor.
She remembers this one time she accidentally said exited instead of excited to a classmate, Michael.
Ah, simple slip-up. Happens to everyone.
Right, but It could have been a moment where she just felt super embarrassed, wanted to crawl into a hole.
And maybe stop trying for a bit.
Instead, she chose to just laugh it off, learn from it, and see it as a proof. Proof that she was actually putting herself out there, trying.
That kind of resilience, that ability to reframe mistakes as learning moments, absolutely vital.
Turning negatives into positives.
Successful learners tend to view errors not as failures, but as valuable data points, feedback that helps them get better.
Another hurdle. Lack of confidence, especially early on.
Very common.
So to tackle that, she started practicing out loud in front of a mirror every night, pretending she was talking to someone.
Building that muscle memory almost.
And she started recording herself speaking, which felt weird at first, she said.
I bet. It can be strange hearing your own voice.
But it really helped her pinpoint areas to improve. Pronunciation, fluency, stuff like that.
That shows a really proactive approach to self-assessment, doesn't it? Analyzing her own speaking, taking ownership.
Identify what she needed to work on.
Exactly.
And what about those times when you just draw a blank? Don't know the right word.
The vocabulary gap. Happens all the time.
Instead of just freezing up, staying silent, Emily learned to describe things. Use simpler words she did know.
Talking around the word.
Yeah. She gave this great example. Grocery store, didn't know cabbage. So she just described it like, a round vegetable, looks like lettuce but bigger.
And the cashier got it.
Yep. Understood perfectly.
That skill, we call it circumlocution, finding other ways to express yourself. It's so important for keeping the conversation flowing.
Stops you getting stuck.
And feeling discouraged, yeah.
Yeah.
Keeps you communicating.
Then there was understanding fast talkers. That's a big one for learners.
Oh, yeah. Native speakers can sound like they're going a mile a minute.
Her strategy was smart. Start slow. Listen to English content spoken more slowly, clearly, like those BBC Learning English podcasts.
Scaffolding the listening.
And she used subtitles strategically. Watch with them first, then rewatch without. See how much more she caught the second time.
Active viewing, not just passive.
And sometimes, just repeated listening. Same audio clip, multiple times, picking out more details each time.
That's a really thoughtful, gradual way to build listening comprehension. Start accessible, slowly ramp up the difficulty.
Use the tools available.
Right, tools like subtitles, slow playback speeds. Initially, they help bridge that gap to more challenging natural speed stuff.
So let's boil it down. What are the actual steps Emily took that someone listening could start doing, like today, if they want to learn without the books?
Okay, the actionable takeaways.
First, create that English environment. Phone settings, social media, videos, movies, maybe subtitles first, then try without. Music, podcasts, daily exposure.
Make English unavoidable in your daily life.
Second, speak every day. Talk to yourself. Find a language partner online or in person. Use those speaking practice apps. Just get the words out.
Consistency is key there.
Third, think in English. Start small. Narrate your day in your head. Describe things around you. Try to bypass the translation step.
Train your brain.
Fourth, and maybe the biggest, don't fear mistakes. Seriously. See them as progress markers, not failures.
Embrace the imperfections as part of learning.
And fifth, make it fun. Find English content you actually enjoy. Music, comedy, games, whatever works for you.
Keep it engaging.
Emily saw real, significant improvement within about a year of doing this stuff consistently. Felt way more confident, even gave a university presentation completely in English. That's fantastic progress in a year.
Pretty amazing, right?
And what's really neat is how all those strategies, they work together. They reinforce each other.
So it's a system.
Yeah, creating that immersive environment, actively using the language in different ways, it builds this positive cycle of learning and improvement.
Okay, let's dive a bit deeper into that idea of training your brain. Thinking in English. Emily really stressed how important this was.
That cognitive shift again.
And it started super simple. Everyday thoughts. Instead of thinking in Spanish, tengo que levantarme, then translating.
She'd just think the English directly, I have to wake up.
Right. Or narrating actions in her head in English as she did them. Describing things she saw around her in English, not translating first. She found that made a huge difference in her fluency.
Made the words come more naturally.
Exactly. Less searching, more flowing. It really is about building that direct connection. Constantly translating adds that extra cognitive load, slows you down.
Thinking directly in English builds new pathways in the brain. Is that the idea?
Essentially, yeah. Allowing you to process and express yourself more efficiently in English.
And then the power of daily conversations. Even if you don't always have someone right there to practice with.
Finding ways to speak no matter what.
Emily mentioned talking to herself in English, sending voice messages to friends in English.
Using the tools we have now.
Yeah, even using AI tools like ChatGPT, also Speak, Google Assistant, practicing conversations with them.
Technology offers so many practice opportunities now.
And those online language exchange groups remained really important for her. Regular speaking practice, connecting with other learners and native speakers.
These strategies just show how many ways you can get practice today, even if you're not physically surrounded by English speakers.
No excuses, really.
Pretty much. Technology has opened up tons of possibilities for consistent communication practice.
Okay, another thing. Surrounding herself with English. As many ways as possible.
Constant input.
Listening to English music, watching English TV, YouTube, reading short English stories, even just scrolling social media in English.
Making it a constant presence.
She said it made English feel less like this foreign thing and more just part of her day.
That constant immersion really helps normalize the language. Makes it feel familiar. You're constantly bumping into new words, new structures, and natural settings.
Which helps you remember them better.
Absolutely. Helps with both understanding and retention.
And finally, getting over that fear. Speaking in public, talking to strangers.
The performance anxiety aspect.
Emily started small. Just ordering coffee in English, asking for directions. Simple stuff.
Low-stakes interactions.
And she realized most people are actually really nice about it. Appreciative that you're making the effort. Much more likely to help than criticize.
That's usually the reality, isn't it? The fear is often worse than the actual experience.
She also found speaking a little more slowly and clearly in those situations helped her feel more confident and made sure she was understood.
Good tip. Controlling the pace.
So that gradual exposure, starting small with real-world speaking, that seems like a practical way to build confidence.
Yeah, and desensitize yourself to that anxiety about speaking in front of others.
So the big question, how long does Emily think it takes to get fluent this way without the books?
Everyone wants a timeline, right?
Yeah. Based on her experience, she reckons that with consistent daily immersion, really hitting the listening, speaking, thinking in English, and crucially, not fearing mistakes.
Consistent effort across the board.
You can make really significant progress, she felt, within about 6 months to a year.
Now, it's important to remember fluency means different things to different people, but
With that time frame, 6 months to a year.
it offers a realistic and pretty encouraging perspective for learners who are really dedicated to this kind of immersive approach.
Definitely. And Emily's final advice, which her friend Sam echoed, Sam's journey was actually a big inspiration for her.
Ah, Sam's experience too.
His advice, their shared advice, is super simple. Start today.
Don't wait.
Don't wait till you feel perfectly ready.
Ah.
Just jump in. Embrace the mistakes, be consistent, and just begin.
Sounds simple, but often the hardest step is just starting.
Totally. Sam, by the way, he learned a lot just by talking aloud to himself, listening to English stuff, and copying what he heard.
Mimicking the sounds and rhythms.
Yeah, and actively thinking in English.
Hmm.
He eventually got to sound really natural by imitating conversations, learning common phrases, and just getting used to understanding faster speech.
Sam's experience really backs up that idea. Actively engaging with the spoken language imitation, focusing on natural patterns, that's key for developing more authentic fluency.
Right, sounding natural, not just correct.
Exactly.
And that brings us to our final thought for you today. Sam mentioned this really cool moment, having a deep, meaningful conversation in English.
Without thinking about the language itself.
Yeah, without consciously having to construct sentences or search for words, he just felt like he developed his own English-speaking identity.
That's a fantastic feeling for a learner. Real integration.
So think about this. What aspect of English, maybe it's understanding rapid-fire conversations or expressing complex opinions confidently, or even just feeling totally comfortable making jokes in English, what part do you look forward to experiencing with that same kind of naturalness, that ease?
What does fluency look like for you personally?
We really hope Emily's and Sam's stories inspire you to maybe explore your own book-free path. Start today. See what happens.